What's up, Mets fans, and welcome back to Talking Mets here, Rob, and welcome back to another edition of Mets Talk Live. How is everybody doing today? Yesterday we had an off day, so there was no uncertainty, there was no nerves, there was no anticipation of the game. Just a nice, relaxful day yesterday, talking about the unfortunate series loss against the Padres and the coming series that starts at 9:40 tonight against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, because I like to call them the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim because, well, they're located in Anaheim. So, how is everybody doing today? Hopefully, everybody is doing well. It's going to be another late night for a lot of us if you're going to stay up and watch the Mets game tonight. And just so everybody knows, unfortunately, I'm not going to be on the live stream that I set up later for tonight's game. I know today's game is on Apple TV, so a lot of people, some might not even want to be bothered with Apple TV, and others just don't want to listen to Apple TV. So what I'm doing, even though I'm going to be at work, I'm going to set up the live stream where you're going to have game day on the screen, and you're going to have the radio call for whoever's doing the radio calls, probably Wayne Randazzo and his partner, but not Howie Rose, because Howie Rose haven't been traveling. So you're gonna have the radio call and you're gonna have the game day on the screen, and you can all interact with each other in the comments as well. So I won't be physically at the during the stream. I will not be on the stream, but at least at the very least, you can actually enjoy the game with other Mets fans while not listening to a terrible broadcast of Apple TV. And even if you're watching it on TV, put it on mute and listen to the stream and the radio call, watch game day, and talk amongst yourselves on the chat. So since I won't be on the stream, that's what I'm going to do, because it is Apple TV, and there's so many people that just didn't want to deal with that nonsense. And I don't blame you, because at the end of the day, it's very hard to listen to the announcers. And the last thing you want to do is get annoyed by announcers when you're just trying to enjoy the game. So obviously it's game one of the 3-game set against the Los Angeles Angels. Tyler McGill is making his return to the mound and to the Mets for the first time in about 6 weeks, 5 6 weeks. So one piece of the puzzle coming back in our rotation to get started. That's exactly what we need to start to get healthy in that rotation. And McGill being healthy is step number one. He is said to be around 70 to 75 pitches where he'll go tonight. So again, that can mean any inning. It does, if he has a couple of long innings, it might only be 3 innings. If he has a couple of short innings, or quick innings, he can throw 5. No, that's what I'm hoping for. He can go at least 5, and you can just give the ball off to the bullpen and hope for the best. So on MLB, on the MLB app, they have a still to be determined for the Angels pitcher, but I looked on Yahoo earlier, and it says pitching for the Angels is Jonathan Diaz, who has a 1.32 ERA and 1-0 with 10 strikeouts. So he's somewhat of a new pitcher, hasn't pitched a lot, but with a 1.32 ERA, he clearly pitched well in his first outing. And I don't know how many games he pitched. I haven't even looked at that part yet. But Jonathan Diaz has a 1.32 ERA against the guy who is coming back tonight in Tyler McGill. So once again, guys, Apple TV for the Mets tonight. If you do not want to listen to the broadcast, I will have the live stream up and ready to go for the radio call and game day on the screen. I will not be in the stream because I will be at work. But at the very least, I thought it'd be a good idea to at least bring you another sound of the game while interacting with other Mets fans in the comments. And, if you're working, if you're not at home and you can't actually see the game, at least you have an idea of what the heck's going on without checking your phone every 2 seconds, trying to scuffle around MLB app and finding the score. So that's what I'm going to do today on tonight. So I'll pop on for like a minute or two to say hello, and then I'll just put game day up and set up everything with the microphone and the radio so you can actually enjoy the game there. So hopefully with Apple TV, I'm not exactly using Apple TV to use the sound, so I don't think it will kick me off. But who the hell knows? Apple's very strict with their copyright stuff. Even though you're not listening to it, they might want all eyes and sound on their app. So again, if the stream happens to kick off, I can't do nothing about that. That might be a YouTube issue, problem. I don't know. So I'm just doing it because I want you to have an alternative listening point during the game. So that's what you're gonna get tonight. Hopefully you guys tune in. And once again, I don't have control over the stream. If it cuts off, I apologize. If it stays on, great. Everybody can actually enjoy the game, listening to the radio, and also game day and amongst yourselves talking about whatever's going on during the game. So we got about 18 people in the stream right now. Don't forget to please hit on that like button so we can get more people in the streams for the next hour. There's only an hour stream today. I do have to go to bed very early today to get a couple of hours sleep before I go to work at 10. So it's going to be a very long night. So it's only an hour stream tonight until 6 o'clock. So we're gonna go over the pitching matchups. That hopefully they're all in. I think on Yahoo Sports the games are in. The pitchers are ready. Are on the. They know who the starters are. MLB does not. So I don't know if Jonathan Diaz is the right guy or not, but that's all I can find so far. So that's what we're gonna go with. So before we get started, I'm gonna say what up to everybody in the chat, and then we'll get started about the series preview against the Angels. All right, we got Steven, Sean, a member of Talking Mets Rob, Alvaro, John, Steven, Grant, a member of Talking Mets Rob, Sean, a member of Talking Mets Rob, Ruben, a member of Talking Mets Rob. We got the members in the house tonight. Plaxi, we got Joseph, a member of Talking Mets Rob, Timothy, and Uelphus. How you doing, guys? Everybody's hopefully doing good right now. Again, finally, we can finally finish up this West Coast trip in the next couple of days, and we can finally get back to normal hours on the East Coast because 10-game road trip, it's very hard staying up for every game, especially in my case, working late shift. Most of the time, I'm leaving in like the sixth or seventh inning and going to work and catching the end of the game at work. And, it's a little annoying when the Mets lose, especially if they lose late in the game. You're a little annoyed at work, but that's just my problem, not yours. But, it's still nice that you can have, you can actually watch the game at 7 o'clock and the game can end around 10:30. Worst case scenario, 11 o'clock, and you can go to bed at somewhat of a reasonable hour, not 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So at the very least, let's hope the Mets come out guns blazing. That's not a great term to use, but you guys know what I mean. Fiery and ready to go and put pressure on the Angels early. The Angels did win yesterday against the Red Sox, so they finally won a game, so we didn't have to worry about that long loser streak going into the Mets series. But again, like I said yesterday, if you were here on Mets Talk Live, you can look at it both ways. You can look at the Angels losing 16 straight going into the series, and you'd be like, okay, fine. You know what? They're really struggling. All you got to do is put some pressure on them. And then some people are like, let them win now, at least one game. So going into the Mets series, we don't have to worry about them, breaking a big losing streak. You can look at it either way. But what I'm looking at, I like to look at individual games. I don't care what they did 12 games ago. I don't care what they did 2 games ago. I just look at what happens here. And the key to this game, this is a team that lost their last 15 out of 16. If you get runs on the board early, you put doubt on their minds, and you're going to hear them say, uh-oh, here we go again. And that's what you want. You want to put doubt in their mind and let them start squeezing the bat a little tighter, squeezing the ball a little tighter, making a bad throw, swinging at bad pitches, making bad defensive plays because the pressure is on. They are at home. Put pressure on them early. You get the first at bat of the ball game. Put pressure on them right away. Do not give them any room to breathe, because once they get that confidence in getting a few runs and starting to win a ball game, now they're getting a little bit of the confidence, and then things can turn rather quickly. We've seen it with the Padres, who do have a good team, but we're struggling going into the Mets series, and they found a way to bludgeon the Mets 2 out of the 3 games. So what you want the Mets to do is get out early, put pressure on them early, and at the very least, trying to at least get 1 or 2 runs in the first 1 or 2 innings to put doubt in their mind, thinking that, oh, here we go again. The same, just because we won one game doesn't mean we can't start another losing streak. And that's what we want. We want another losing streak. So, Johnny Diaz for the Angels. Tyler McGill makes his return tonight for the Mets. Again, MLB app doesn't have the starting pitching for tonight for the Angels, but Yahoo Sports says it's Johnny Diaz. So I'm going to roll with that until we know a little bit more. Hopefully the lineup will come out. The game starts in about 4.5 hours, so maybe right before I end this stream, they will have at least the Mets lineup so we have an idea. I think Johnny Diaz is a right-handed pitcher. I could be wrong. Not 100% sure on that one. Let's see. Let me check really quick because it is important to figure that one out because, well, at the end of the day, and you have to, with the Mets having problems with left-handed pitching, it would be nice to have a right-handed pitcher on the mound just to help out just a little bit. But let me just check Johnny Diaz really quick. Johnny Diaz. Why already did? I'm assuming he's a minor league guy because let's see him here. Let me, John. Give me a second, guys. So I think he's right-handed. Could be wrong, but I'm opening it up now to see. He's a lefty. All right, guys. So he is a lefty. So it is a lefty on the mound. So again, he pitched in 3 games. He's 1-0, 1.32 ERA, 13 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. So he's pitched well. And again, a lefty is always the Achilles heel of the New York Mets. And exactly what we need from this team, again, get out early. And it is a lefty, so I'm assuming the lineup's going to be right-handed dominant. And that's where I think the Mets could, that's why it worries me a little bit because it is a lefty on the mound. The Mets struggle against lefties, but that doesn't mean that they can't jump on a pitcher early. I'm assuming Nimmo's going to play. We're going to see about Alonso and Marte. That's why I'm looking into, I don't know if Alonso is and Marte is a game time decision. I don't know yet. I'm checking Twitter on the regular just to see if there's any news about it. But I do not see, let's see if there's anything about Alonso or, people are asking a question on Twitter. I wonder if Marte and Alonso are going to be in the lineup tonight. Again, I think more Alonso will be in the lineup than Marte because quad is a whole nother issue. You need to rest that quad. When there's no broken bones in that hand, you just got to get through the discomfort and the swelling probably when it comes to Alonso's hand. So, all right. So Mike Kuma says about 7 minutes ago, the Mets will have to make a roster move to accommodate Tyler McGill. Steven Agosta, who pitched Wednesday night, is the likely departure. So there you go. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything as of yet. So we're just hoping that the lineup comes out before the stream ends, and then we go forward with that lineup. Again, it's probably going to be right-handed dominant, probably with J.D. Davis, probably somewhere in the top of it. Again, if Alonso is not playing, that puts a slash in the lineup because, you got to move everybody up. I think the other night against the Padres, J.D. Davis was the cleanup hitter. Look, that's not ideal at all. That doesn't help the lineup. And if Marte's not in the lineup tonight, now you got to push everybody up some more. So that means Luis Guillorme's got to play. So that means you got to put a lefty in there just because you got to put McNeil in the outfield. Connor's got to play right field. Nimmo's your center fielder. Guillorme is going to play second. Escobar third. Lindor short. Davis at first. Plummer or somebody else might be a DH. So the Mets don't have a lot of options if Marte and Alonso doesn't play. Because if Marte and Alonso doesn't play, are they available on the bench? Remember, they're not on the IL. They're active still. So that means if Alonso's not ready to swing a bat and Marte can't swing or run, Well, you're down two players on your bench already. So now you have a limited bench. Let's hope nobody gets hurt. And when you need if there's a big spot in the game where you need a pinch runner or a pinch hitter, well, you got one catcher and then you have one position player, and that's all you have. And we had that problem the last two games of the Padres series. We were two men down, and you only had two men on your bench. That's not a way to go into a game. That's why I'm a little shocked they didn't put Martin on the IL just to have an extra body uh, in this on this bench, just in case. But they didn't do that. But that's why I'm hoping maybe they thought because they won the first Padre game, they had a pretty good chance of winning at least one more. That backfired, I guess. Maybe they do think that Alonso and Marte is going to play today. We don't know yet. They haven't been worried about that. That's what we're waiting for. So I see other people in the stream right now. We got Grant, member of Talking Metro Rob. We got Michael, and we got Eddie as well, and Christian, a member of Talking Metro Rob. So how is everybody doing today? Once again, guys, the game is on Apple TV. Because I do work and I can't go live during it because who the hell wants to listen to Apple TV and their terrible broadcast? At the very least, you can turn on the TV or turn on the app and watch the game and then mute it. And then I will be going live tonight. I'm not going to be present. I'm just giving you an alternative option for listening with game day, obviously on the screen, and also the radio call from William Randazzo. I will have the stream up there so you guys can listen to the game while talking amongst yourselves. So at least you have an alternative option of listening to at least a voice or voices that you actually enjoy to hear during a Mets game. So Apple TV, again, you got a nice clear picture, but it goes in and out in service, and the announcers are terrible. So hopefully you guys tune in and hang out with one another and talk Mets baseball and talk about the game. But unfortunately, I got to go to work in a few hours, so I won't be present during the live stream. So at the very least, you can actually enjoy the stream amongst yourselves, and it's something different. I haven't done this before, so I don't know how it's going to go. There'll be no, there is, if some of you guys who are moderators, if you want to, patrol the chat and do what you got to do, I won't be able to block or time out people. So that would be your jobs as moderators to do so. So keep it as clean as possible, guys. If you guys are moderators, if you can handle the situation, please do that for me because I will not be present. Check it every 2 seconds. I'll check it on my phone in the stream just to see how it's going, make sure it's still running. But other than that, I don't have access to block or timeout people. So it's going to be an interesting stream for sure. I never did this before, like I said. I'll pop on around probably for about a minute or so, maybe. I would be at work, so there's no guarantee that I can pop on, but I will start the live stream from my phone and get everything ready to go for you guys, ready to go. So thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Again, there's a couple of moderators that are not members, so if they're in the stream, they can actually take a look and do what they have to do. But again, it might be no holds barred. It might be a cage match in here. You never know, especially if the Mets are losing. Who knows? You might get some Angel fans in here. You never know. So I just want to make sure. Again, with Apple TV, I don't know how strict they are with wanting people to get eyes on their platform. Are they knocking people off for streaming the game or putting other access to a game other than Apple TV? I don't know. So I honestly don't know. So again, if YouTube happens to cut the stream off because of copyright issues, I apologize. But it's not my. I'm not going to be here to, find out. Usually they'll send a little notification on the live stream that I can see that says, hey, this is copyright live stream. Please shut down whatever's copyrighted or you have to end the stream. So, again, I don't know how it's going to go. It can start up well in the first couple of innings, and then the last couple of innings, it can just cut off. Hopefully it doesn't do that. Michael, I will make you a moderator. I just have to click on your profile and then set you up to activate you as a moderator. So I will do that after I end the stream. Once again, guys, it's only an hour stream today for Mets Talk Live. Again, get a couple hours of sleep before work, and then we will go into the series preview against the Angels. So once again, Yahoo Sports says it's Johnny Diaz. MLB doesn't have a pitcher that's starting today for the Angels. I keep on looking. I haven't seen it yet, but we will see. I'm still actually trying to figure out because I'm on the Angels. You can change the team and all that. I still don't see anything regarding the pitcher. So it's kind of annoying, but it says Johnny Diaz on Yahoo Sports. So I'm going to go with that until we figure out who the hell is pitching. So don't forget to please hit on that like button if you're just tuning in. Yeah, Helen, some people will, some people won't. Again, I asked people in yesterday's stream and the day before if they wanted me to go live, even though I'm not going to be there, to at least have another option other than listening. You can still watch the game, but it was extremely difficult to watch that Apple TV game. I think they were facing the Phillies. I mean, I had to mute it, and even though the radio wasn't completely synced up to the TV, I had to turn off the volume because it was that bad. And some people just look. I have a hard time listening to ESPN and occasionally Fox, so I usually link up the radio with the TV screen just to get the picture and different sound because I just cannot deal with just terrible nonsense of being a terrible play-by-play, terrible analysis of the game. It just doesn't make sense. So at least you have an alternative option here on Talking Mets Rob. It won't be the same as other live streams during a game, but at least you guys can talk amongst yourselves, and it might be different. I don't know. I will have live replay of the chat after the stream is over, so you guys can check it out afterwards if you missed it or whatever. So it's always fun to actually enjoy the game with different people talking. You guys been in a live stream before during a game. There's a lot of chatting going on. I mean, I average between 3,000 to 5,000 messages per stream during a game, so it's always interesting to see what people have to say. You always get fans of other teams. You get Yankee fans. You even get Angel fans. You never know. So hopefully it's a good turnout and people can enjoy the game and each other just talking nonsense during a baseball game. Let's see what everybody is saying today. We got Steven saying hello. Sean says hello, Rob, and everybody. Alvaro says, what's up, Rob? You explained the Padres series, 2 wins and 2 blowouts. Yeah, I mean, the Mets didn't pitch well. It's just that simple. And, when you lose Marte and Alonso, who are your biggest, you know, Marte is your table setter, and Alonso is your RBI home run guy. When you lose both of those guys, well, your lineup's very bare. But even if they had those two guys in the lineup, there's no guarantee that the pitching would be any better, obviously. So the pitching was just bad. They gave their offense no opportunity to get a breather and try to, get into the groove of the game. They just were already down right away. So it's, the basket was terrible. And that was the bigger concern because, I mean, both games, it was just blowouts. I mean, what are you going to do? The Mets really haven't had those type of blowouts in the season yet. They might have had one here or there, but to have two back-to-back is kind of, well, it's a little worrisome going into the Angels series because we don't know how this offense is going to come out. We just don't know at the moment. So we'll see. Unfortunately, it was the pitching, and hopefully the pitcher pitches better against the Angels. And we do have McGill on the mound coming back from his injury, Carrasco tomorrow, and Sunday Walker's on the mound. So you got the pitchers on the mound that you want on the mound, considering your injuries. Those are the guys you have to trust the most in this rotation at the moment. John says Metro Apple TV. That sucks. I agree. Steven, was that true that Noah didn't want to pitch against the old team? Again, their story was they wanted to give him more reps. I don't believe that one bit because if there's a guy like Syndergaard who was on Twitter and talking about the Mets combined no hitter and talking about Mr. Met and then talking about why he didn't sign with the Mets, he had the word Mets in his mouth a lot this season already. And when you have the opportunity to pitch against your old team, and all of a sudden, it's not like they made this decision 3 days ago during the Boston series. They made that decision yesterday. So it's funny to me. That's why there was a couple people on Twitter that were coming at me saying, "Oh, he's coming back from Tommy John surgery 2 years ago. They're trying to limit his innings. Okay, fine, but they haven't done that all season. All season they didn't limit his innings. And all of a sudden, against the Mets, you limit his innings. And I can see maybe you don't want to pitch him if he's at Citi Field and he's pitching for the Angels, but he's at home. And it's like, come on, pitch the game. I just don't think he wanted any backlash if he got rocked against playing against the Mets. And pitch only 2-3 innings to give up 5 or 6 runs. I don't think you want any of that backlash from Twitter, Mets Twitter, or anybody who just follow him on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. I know one of my friends that I work with who's a Mets fan put up a GIF that was saying "so," and he got Noah Syndergaard blocked him. So at the end of the day, guys, you just have to. I think, in my opinion, that Noah Syndergaard did not want to pitch against the Mets. I just felt that way, just because the way they went about it. The day before the Mets series, they decide that that Syndergaard's not pitching against the Mets. He was already on an extra day rest anyway, so he already had an extra day going into the Mets game because he would have pitched either one of these 3 games. I think it would have been Saturday's game or Sunday's game, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe today actually. But he was on an extra day rest anyway, so pushing him back a couple more days, he's going to have about 2 or 3 days more rest. Again, that's not limited in innings. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you wanted to pitch him and take him out in 5 innings, do so. That's limited innings. For a struggling Angels team that needs all their big guns running on all cylinders, for a team that lost 15 or 16, wouldn't you want one of the guys you spent $23 million on or $21 million on the mound for you, trying to get out of a huge slump that you're dealing with, trying to get back in the AL West? That's what I think. So I don't understand the fact that, it's about innings limits. No, it's not. Because you're a team that's struggling to the high moon. You got an interim coach that's trying to keep his position at the end of the year and trying to win ball games and trying to get back in the AL West, or at least in the wild card of the American League. So I think that's nonsense. One of the guys you give $21 million to, who is at the top of your rotation, you're going to skip and give him a few extra days. Just around the same time you're facing the Mets in the series. I don't buy that one bit. Let's see. Ruby says, "Hey, Rob." Sean says, "Hi, Grant. What's up, everyone?" From Grant. Lexi says, "These Apple TV announcements are so effing horrible. It's actually embarrassing that they have this." I agree. It's not good at all. I just don't understand. If you're going to put something on a platform, it goes for Amazon with NFL, if that goes for Apple TV, Peacock, whatever it is, and it's not getting the live announcers from another broadcast, find people that know what they're doing. Apple TV is, Apple in general is trying to get to, trying to be that new society in most, some people say woke society, where, they're getting, I agree that women should be in sports. I think they should start becoming announcers and anything like that. But you also have to be good at your job. And that goes for men and women. It doesn't matter what you are. Listen, if there was an announcer for the Mets that was a woman, if she did a good job, I have no problem with that. But when you put people that they might know the game of baseball, but when you're basically a national broadcast, because that's what technically they are. They're not a local broadcast for either team. They're a national broadcast that don't do enough research or don't do get enough information about the two teams that are playing. And then when the Mets were playing the Phillies, which is a rivalry, they were talking about foods they were eating. They were just going way off course. And there weren't. There was no enthusiasm when runs scored. When you're a national broadcast, you gotta have the same level of excitement for both teams. And they were just dead the whole game. When the Mets made a big play or got a run, and the Phillies or a couple of home runs, they were like, "Oh, that ball is gone." Like it's just not the way to do play-by-play. And the color commentators that were in there also with the play-by-play person was just not good enough. Even though they had who was the baseball player? Forgot the guy's name, but he played for the Mets for a little bit. but mostly for the Diamondbacks. He's a baseball player. He knows baseball, but he he doesn't fit well with the two ladies that were in the booth with him. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's like if you're gonna put someone on a platform that you're trying to get eyes on, wouldn't you want to spend a little bit more money on people that know how to call a baseball game? It just look. I know people have been killing ESPN for the hockey coverage, but TNT has been very good with hockey coverage. But when it comes to ESPN play-by-play and TNT play-by-play for the playoffs, they know hockey. I mean, look at the cast. They got Messier, they got Gretzky. They got almost all former players, and a lot of guys from the Canadian networks that are the lead guy on like the pre and post game and stuff like that. So they spent money on people that know what they were doing because they spent tons of money. That's what I don't understand what happened. ESPN and TNT spent tons of money to get the rights to the NHL for the playoffs or throughout the season, and they spent money on the right people. Now, you might say there might be a little bit of leaning towards one team during the play-by-play, fine, but they still got guys that know what they're talking about. With Apple TV, they went as cheap as possible. And when you're trying to get eyes and trying to become a partner with Major League Baseball for a long time, you're not going to last very long if 99% of the people hate the broadcast. It's just that simple. Ruben says, I read that Thor got moved to Tuesday for extra rest. Yeah, I don't believe that, Ruben. I don't believe it at all, honestly. I don't. They said it yesterday. If they wanted to give him a few days off extra, they could have said this in the beginning of the week, but they said it the day before the Mets series. I don't buy it. And Joseph says in the Puerto Rican there. Alvaro Salud from Chile. Awesome. Eddie says, hey, Rob, what it do? How you doing, buddy? Ruben says, as much as I hate these trips, they help to spot the weaknesses that the team. Yeah, you could say that. It does spot the weaknesses, but again, I don't care if your team is 100% healthy. A West Coast trip of this length is not easy to go through at all. Grant's always in time for the drive home. I love it. Michael says, time to bounce back. Says, big fella, they're on their way. We are good. Let's hope so. So says, doing good, Grant. Hope you're doing good as well. And he says, time for the Mets to bounce back in an amazing way. I tend to agree with that. Sean says, I'll try to be in the chat as much as possible, Rob. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. So that popped on the stream, so I'm just checking out. Michael says, why not? We are a group of Mets fans that have great conversations, great stream. I agree with that. It's going to be different. I'm not going to be here to be in the live stream to, do the between in and analysis and all that stuff. But it will be interesting for sure. Sean, I agree. Limiting his innings makes no sense. Again, they could have limited his innings in the first 2 months. They did not skip his start yet this season. If you're going to give a break here and there and skip his start, you could have done that in the first 2 months, and they haven't as of yet. It just so happens against the Mets. I find that very ironic. Rocky, hey, how you doing? Sean said he's a chicken. I agree. Robert says, what's up? Eric says, hola, Rob. Let's go Mets. Nah, we're going to call him Mickey Mouse. That's what I'm going to call him. The Blind Beard, I agree. I'm glad you're going to listen to it, other than Apple TV, because it's just a hard listen. It really is. The Blind Beard, and plus it's hard for my blindness to try and watch the game on my iPhone. I'm at work and I forgot my iPad at home. Ooh, that sucks. Yeah, Eric, he was lined up. He was lined up to pitch one of these 3 games. That's why it's funny to me, because he already has an extra day. If he would have pitched against the Mets, he would have had an extra rest day. So again, you don't limit the innings by just giving a guy a few days off. It just doesn't make sense, especially for a team that lost 15 out of 16. You want all your big guys ready to go to try to get back in the AL West in the wild card race. So that's why I don't believe it one bit. Chris Young, that's his name. Yes, Chris Young. Yeah, sure, exactly. He talked crap about the Mets. It started out with, there wasn't much talks about him with the Mets. He hasn't really said nothing until the Mets threw that combined no hitter in May. And he said, and then when his pitcher threw a no hitter, he's like, "Oh, that's a real no hitter." It was clearly a shot at the Mets. And then he went after Mr. Met a couple of times, which he did when he was a Met. But now you're not a Met. You shouldn't be worried about Mr. Met. And then on top of that, he had a little bit of an interview when he talked about why he didn't stay with the Mets and took the Angels. Went to the Angels. Again, there's no doubt about it. He took it because he got extra money, not because he was like he didn't want to take the risk or a chance of the uncertainty of the Mets organization going forward. What uncertainty? You got the richest owner in baseball. They were making moves during that time when we were waiting for Syndergaard to make his decision on the the qualifying offer. Yet he took $3 million more. Fine, if you took $3 million more, just say you went there because they gave you $3 more million. If Angels gave him the same amount of money that the Mets were offering in the qualifying offer, he would have not went to the Angels. He went to the Angels because they paid him more money. Just that simple. They make it so like intricate, and they make it so like it's a tough decision. It's not. If anybody pays you more, you'd be on the first plane out. Everybody would do it, and everybody understands that. You might get a little mad because he was a guy that came up and pitched his first game ever in his career as a Met. So that's why people are upset about that. But other than that, people understand if you took more money. But if you're honest about it, we'll have a little bit more respect for you than giving us some bull crap about, oh, I didn't want to take the risk with my career with the Mets and the uncertainty of the organization. What? That don't make no sense. Ruben, I don't think MLB cares if we complain about Apple TV. You know why they don't care about us? Because they already got a nice huge chunk of change to get for Apple to get the rights to Major League Baseball games on Fridays. That's why MLB don't care. They don't care. I think it's a 5-year deal, so you're going to see this for the next couple of years. So I don't think they care. Jose Lane says, "I hope the Mets win." Jose says, "What's up, Rob? Is being televised tonight only on Apple TV. So if you don't want to deal with Apple TV, come on the stream. I'll have the radio call and game day up, and you can talk amongst Mets fans with each other." Unfortunately. Yeah, Zapucky can stay down on it. Yeah, I honestly think. Look, I wouldn't say he's necessarily scared. I never like to say a man is scared, but it's clear that he didn't want to deal with the backlash if the Mets beat him up when he pitched against them, and then he would hear it from Met fans for a long time, and he didn't want to deal with that. I mean, he got so sensitive lately, being in that California air that he's blocking people left and right. Like I said, he blocked my friend that uh, tweeted at him of a gift that says "so," and he blocked him. So and that's just a random person that he doesn't even know. So, what can he do? He got soft in California. Yeah, sure. I honestly think so. Like, I think his last outing he pitched very well, but before that he had a couple of rough starts in a row, and for all we know, he could have pitched against the Mets and dominated, and then he would have had something. But I don't think he wanted that uncertainty where it could have went either way. I guarantee you, if he was pitching extremely well going into the Mets series, I guarantee you he would have pitched because he would have been feeling confident and think that his stuff is working and ready to go. But guess what? Oops. Well, I already told everybody Stroman was not going to live up to his contract. I knew that from day one. He's pitching. His stats right now is exactly what he's done throughout his entire career. There is no coincidence that Marcus Stroman, who is all about himself, pitched his best in his career in a walk year, in a contract year. I'm telling you, that's why I did not want Stroman. Everybody's like, "Oh, how are you gonna make up with that performance? He's gonna pitch well again." No, he's pitching. The stats that he's pitching in the Cubs uniform is his career stats. Look at the baseball card before you look at somebody who pitched well in a contract year. Stroman's all about himself. I'm not shocked that Stroman pitched well in a contract year because he's all about himself and he doesn't care if they win or lose. Look, he went to the Cubs that were clearly in rebuild mode, who are not going to be good in probably the next 2 to 3 years. And oh, guess what? It's only a 3-year deal for Stroman, so he don't care. He went there because they gave him the most money. Why they gave him that much money? No one there in rebuild mode makes no sense because they're not going to be any good by the time he's going to be a free agent. So it just doesn't make sense. And he hasn't spoken a lot on Twitter because, well, they suck. And he sucks. And he's living up to his career stats. I don't know why anybody's shocked, honestly. Syndergaard has been better than Stroman in this year so far. Syndergaard hasn't been great, but he's been better than Stroman. Stroman hasn't pitched well at all. And I'm not shocked because that's what he has. His career ERA, I think, is like 3. I'm going to check. I'm curious. Check Marcus Stroman. Let's see his stats. All right, so this year, he has a 5.32 ERA, right? Last year, besides 2015 when he only pitched a few games, he has, let's see, he had a 3.02 ERA. He had a couple of good years, 2019, 2.96, but that was the same time when he was actually going to be a free agent as well. Remember, the Mets traded for him in a walk year, and then he took the qualifying offer. Unfortunately, he took the qualifying offer, but 2020 you were able to opt out and still become a free agent, and still was able to take the qualifying offer for 2021. So there's no mistake. 2016, 4.37. 2017, not so bad, 3.09. 2018, 5.54. 2019, his walk year, 3.22. 2019, with the Mets, with Toronto, 2.96. And with the Mets. So in total, it was a 3.77 with Toronto and the Mets. He didn't pitch good when he came to the Mets after the trade. And look, 2020 didn't play. 2021, 3.02 walk year. So there you go. He's an average pitcher that pitches well when he know when payday is coming. Put it that way. That's what he is. And I don't know why anybody was going crazy and like, oh, we got to sign Stroman. He's been so good for us. He was our best pitcher. Well, he was our best pitcher because the Mets had no pitcher. DeGrom is out. Carrasco was hurt. McGill wasn't the McGill that we saw this year. There was nobody pitching. Walker in the second half was terrible. So other than that, of course, Stroman was going to look good from eyesight because, well, there was no pitchers, on the Mets. So I don't know what anybody was expecting. And he's just not a good player, in my opinion. And he's always been a me guy, and you saw that with the Mets. And he was a toxic player that caused situations in the clubhouse, along with Javi Baez, along with Aaron Luke, and that's why these guys weren't on the team. The Mets were trying to change the culture, and they changed it. And it's a huge difference. Even Escobar, who was struggling, was still continuing to be a clubhouse guy. You think Baez, Luke, or Stroman were struggling like Escobar was? You think they weren't going to cause problems within the dugout? Of course they were. And look how fast Buck showed up and nipped it in the butt when McNeil got angry and made it about himself. Right away, he took him out of the game and didn't play in the next game. At the end, when it comes to Stroman, he was always a me guy, and he was never that good. His best 2 seasons was his 2 walk years, and that's not a coincidence, guys. As soon as he saw payday coming, he pitches well. And if that's not more of a me guy and all about himself, I don't know what is. And that's the guy that Stroman is. He always was that guy. Now, I'm not going to lie. I bought a Stroman t-shirt when the Mets traded for him in 2019 because a local guy, Long Island guy, I was into it. No, I was no doubt about it. I was into it. But seeing the way his attitude, and he made sure that every time when he pitched bad and people got after him on Twitter, it was automatically about race. It wasn't. They weren't saying bad words. There might be some people, no doubt about it, but the majority of the people that I seen was just like, "Hey, you suck. You don't pitch that well. You're not as good as you think." That's just fans going at you in a baseball sense, not a racial sense. And then, to come back with everything when it came to the whole thing with the pandemic, and we all know with the social injustice stuff, and Dominic Smith was a big part of that. Stroman was, but he was using that racial aspect since 2019, and I just didn't like that. It's like, people can get at you because you haven't pitched well, and it's not race. I can assure you, I will get on you baseball wise, but I would never bring up race into the conversation. I don't care what you are. If you suck, I'm going after you. It's just that simple. I pay my hard-earned money to help pay your salary. I can, I'm not saying, talk about your family, talk about race, talk about, anything that can harm you physically or your family. I would never do that because at the end of the day, they're still human. But when I say you're not good, you're not pitching well, you suck, I'm going with baseball sense, not everyday life sense. You know, I want help for his child. I want help for his family. I want him to be healthy. I don't want anything to happen to him. But when he brings race when it's not called for, it doesn't make sense. Because you're not pitching well and you're getting called out for it, it's not, white supremacy coming after you. It's not. It's stupid. And I hate when players use that. There's so many other ways you can use race as a problem in this country. Don't use it because you suck pitching and people call you out for it. It's just not the way to do it. Well, you got to remember when he was traded to the Mets, he found out he was mad that he wasn't getting traded to the Yankees. So, I was happy that a local kid was coming. I seen Stroman pitch on Long Island when he was in high school. I was only a few years. I'm a few years older than him, so I was a senior, I believe, when he was a freshman, and I used to play in tournaments with my high school, with Long Island schools, because Long Island schools, when it comes to baseball, they're really damn good. You don't get a lot of five borough schools that are pretty good. My school played them my senior year. I was injured at the time. I don't remember if Stroman pitched. I do know he was on the team, a high school team that my team faced, my high school faced. So I remember seeing him, and I didn't see him pitch or anything like that or hit or anything like that. But I did know that I faced his school when I was in high school. So we're a couple of years different. So, but it was just a good. It was like, hey, a local kid. That's awesome. You always like the local kid to do well. Everybody was pumped that we got Stroman. The Mets were on a hot streak when we got Stroman. We were trying to get to the divisional or the wild card. We had that very bad first half, but the second half came on, and it was a lot of fun. And then while we got Stroman, a local kid, he was pitching well for Toronto at the time. Go figure, a contract year. But when he came to the Mets, he might have had one good start out of like 9 or maybe 7 starts. So Stroman can be in Chicago and lose and collect his money because that's what it's all about. Geraldo, I'm talking about. Oh, they tuning in. Remember, I'm talking about your Rob. Yeah, I'm talking about Stroman. Stroman just came up when we were talking about Syndergaard and why he didn't sign back with the Mets, and he made it about him not risking his career and uncertainty with the Mets when he took $3 more million, and that was the reason why he left. Same reason why Stroman didn't come back to the Mets, because the Mets were no way, shape, or form giving him that much money to come back to the Mets because he's not worth it. And I said that. I'd rather have Bassett. I'd rather have Walker. I'd rather have Carrasco. And I'm more happy with that. So we got about 10 more minutes until the stream ends, guys. Once again, guys, I will be doing a live stream tonight for the Angels game. I will not be present because I will be working, but because it's on Apple TV, I want people to have other ways of getting at least the sound of the game with game day up and the radio call for the Mets. Hopefully, I don't get kicked off. Copyright issues. Who knows sometimes, but I don't think it will happen. But if it does, I'm sorry. But at least you guys can talk amongst other Mets fans and enjoy the game that way. You can watch the game on TV with the sound that I provide, whatever you guys want to do. So hopefully we get the Mets back on track, and we need to win this series. It's just that simple. We can't lose 2 out of 3 against a struggling Angels team, even though they won last night. So let's hope the Mets get back on track offensively because that's been the biggest problem. Other than, yes, the pitching wasn't good, but the Mets haven't really been scoring runs either in the last 2 games. Jimmy, I would say we need a sweep. It'd be nice. That would give us a 6-4 road trip, which would be very nice. But 2 out of 3 gives you a 5-5 West Coast trip, and I take that every day of the week. For the series, or before the West Coast trip, I said I would take 5-5. I would be happy with 5-5. Now, it always looks bad if you have a struggling end of the road trip than a good winning streak going into the end of the road trip. So it depends on how the 5-5 happens. But either way, 5-5 is exactly what I would have took going forward after this West Coast trip. I take that. And everybody's talking about the Braves winning 7 straight or 8 straight, the Phillies winning 7 straight. Fine. But all that winning streak, they gained 3.5 games throughout almost the end of the West Coast trip for the Mets. So, we got still a 6.5 game lead. We win today. We guarantee 6.5 games. As long as we get back home around 6 or 7 games, I think we'll be okay. Going into the Brewers and Marlins series at home. Well, the update on Jacob DeGrom, he's still, long testing. He has a couple of soft bullpen sessions. The last time I heard, he threw, I think, 15 pitches, all fastballs in the bullpen. No signs of discomfort or pain, which is good. Max Scherzer, on the other hand, is ahead of schedule, which I'm not shocked at all. Scherzer knows his body. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Scherzer at the end of June. So, a lot of people were thinking early July. I think the end of June we're going to see Max Scherzer. So, we're getting McGill back tonight. Let's go. Let's see if the Mets can get the job done. We are playing a struggling Angels team. Just because they won yesterday doesn't mean they didn't still lose 15 out of 16 games. Well, you know what? Let's make it 17 losses in the last 18 at the very least. 1189 says if the Mets play 500 baseball in June, I'll be happy. Yeah, but it also depends. 500 baseball at the moment. I think the Mets are. Let's see, what are them? Let's see what the Mets are. So since June 1st, we'll start with that. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in June out of how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 games so far. 8 games so far in June. So they're 5-5. They're 500 so far in June. 4-4. So not too bad in 8 games. Yeah, Christian. See, CBS and Sports Illustrated. Thank you for that news, Christian. Yeah, they said he was ahead of schedule. If he starts getting a rehab assignment next week, he'll probably have 2 rehab assignments. So if he go on another 5 days from, say, if he goes his first rehab start, I would say next week, say next Wednesday, then the following Monday he'll pitch his second rehab start, and that's leading towards almost the end of June. So we might have him back earlier than expected. Are you worried about the Braves are only 6.5 back? No, I'm not yet, because at the end, look, when you look at it, the Braves had to go on an 8-game winning streak just to get back 3.5 games from the standings from the Mets. So the Mets played 7 games so far on the West Coast. When the Mets left the trip, they were 10.5 up. All right, so they gained 4 games in general. I take that every day of the week. That was why the homestand before the West Coast trip was so important, because of the fact that if you get a nice lead going into the West Coast trip, you can have a bad West Coast trip and still come back home in first place. So yes, the Braves are playing better. Yes, the Phillies are playing better, but they're going to come back to earth sooner or later. They're going to start losing games as well. Lane, there's no lineup as of yet. I'm still waiting for the lineup. Waiting for the lineup, guys. I haven't seen nothing yet. Yeah, Max is just a whole new breed. Like he's a guy that look, he knows his own body, and when he feels comfortable, he's gonna tell him, "Hey, I'm good," and then he'll be ready to go as soon as he goes to a rehab. Yeah, Eric, we have to be winning series for sure, but the West Coast trip is not easy. You know, we're facing at the time of the West Coast trip, the Angels were still a pretty damn good team. The Padres are a good team, and the Dodgers are one of the best teams in baseball. So if you still come out of this 5-5, I'd call it a win because these series and this long road trip is not easy. Lane, I have no thoughts about it. I honestly don't care about the Yankees or the Cubs. You know, I'll watch it because they start before the Mets game, or I'll listen to it because I'll be going to bed soon. Yeah, Christian, that's exactly right. 10 days ago, the Mets had an 8.5 lead. The Mets went 6-4 over the last 10. Braves went 8-2 in the last 10. Braves gained only 2 games over the last 10. So right there, that takes 10 games off the schedule, and they only gained 10 games. That's why this big lead that we had going on to the West Coast trip, it was important, and that's why I said a 500 West Coast trip is not. You can ask for it. Look. It started off very bad, and the Mets came back and won 3 straight. So the Mets can still have a winning record. Yeah, now if they sweep the Angels, they're 6-4. Everybody will be happy. But if they take 2 out of 3, they're 5-5. Even if they go 4-6, the Braves have to win the next 3 in a row to gain 3 more games. Can they do that? Sure. But is it likely? Probably not. Maybe they'll take 2 out of 3 and they still only gain 1 game, and he knocked another 3 games off the schedule. Hey Joey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Let's go next. Yeah, I still think Freeman is still a big piece they're missing. Even though they're playing well, I still think that leadership role is going to hurt them going forward. No, the pitching has always been good for the Padres. It's kept them afloat. They just their offense just came alive against the Mets. Ruben, I agree. Scherzer, Marte, and Alonso bring a spark to the team. Absolutely. I'm glad to see inebriated. Glad to see McGill back. 70 to 75 pitches today. That's nice. Again, there hasn't been any news if the Alonso or Marte are playing today's game. Are going to be in the lineup. We're not sure as of yet. Unfortunately, I got in the stream just now, and the lineup hasn't popped up yet. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna have the lineup for you guys before I go. Once again, guys, I will be going live later tonight. I won't be on the stream, but you'll have game day and the radio call, so you'll have what's going on during the game. You can talk amongst yourselves if you don't want to listen to Apple TV. Yeah, the Braves don't look like the Braves. They played well, but they did play well, but they are playing the bad teams the Mets are playing as well. So, we expect them to win some games there. And the Phillies are playing the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are a little tricky because they did get over 500. They have been playing better after they played the Mets. So the Diamondbacks are not an easy team. They can beat you with power. We saw that when they played the Mets. They can hit. So we'll see with the Phillies, see if they can extend their streak or start losing. Phillies got DFA. For a guy who's a top prospect in the Indian system or Guardian system, and then a top prospect in the Yankee system, is DFA'd again. That's kind of sad. On a Cubs team that could play their young players. Maybe it's the concussions that he had early on that messed his career going forward. Who knows? Ruben, I agree. Lane, I think Alonso and Marte. I think Alonso will be in the lineup today. I don't think Marte will. Just to give him an extra day with the clock. So that's the way it is. All right, guys. So it's 6 o'clock. Appreciate everybody tuning in to the Hour of Mets Talk Live. Once again, 9:30 live stream for the Angels and the Mets. Come aboard, hang out with other Mets fans. I won't be there, but you'll have the radio call and the game day up so you can follow the game as well. What was I gonna say? I don't know if the copyright issue, because Apple's very strict with their wanting people to view the game just that way. They don't like people using other services to get the game. So if YouTube knocks me off, I'm sorry, but I can't control that. And if you guys are moderators and you're tuning in tonight, make sure that the chat doesn't get out of control. Take care of business. If you need to block somebody, or time somebody out, please do that because I won't be present. But at least you guys can enjoy each other and comment during the game. All right, guys. So let's get this series win. Let's try for the sweep. Everybody have a good night. Let's go Mets. Let's finish this road trip strong. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets.